Hi you guys, welcome back to our Crypto 101 series, and today we're going to be going over the XDC network and the XDC cryptocurrency coin. Now, this coin is very special because not only is it used by the top governments and by the major enterprises, it's also ISO 22 compliant, okay? That means it is here to stay and is going to be a permanent factor of the digital age that we have already entered. Now, also on top of that, you guys, I'm going to be giving you so much information in this video so that you can make a sound decision on whether or not you want to invest inside of this coin that has so much utility. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm just giving you all the history and logistics of the coin so that you can decide on what you want to do after that. But before we get started, welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. Now let's get into the textbook definition for the XDC network. The XDC network is an enterprise-grade blockchain purpose-built to digitalize global trade finance and tokenize RWAs, acting as a bridge between traditional finance and decentralized technology. Now I'm going to go over the key points that I will be addressing in this video. 1. Hybrid enterprise blockchain. Combines public transparency with private permission controls, making it suitable for regulated institutions and governments. 2. EVM compatible and high performance. The network supports Ethereum tools, processing over 2,000 transactions per second and achieves finality in 2 to 6 seconds with near zero fees. 3. Focus on real-world utility. Its primary use case is tokenizing trade documents and assets like invoices and bonds to address inefficiencies in a multi-trillion-dollar market. Now let's take a deeper dive inside of the first key point that I mentioned, which is going to be the hybrid enterprise blockchain. Now, XDC solves a lot of problems, but the number one problem that it solves is the problems dealing with global finance and global trade, okay? So let's start off with a little bit of history. So in 2017 is when the bright idea got created, but it wasn't launched. The network was not launched until 2019, 2 years later. That they were working really hard on it and everything, and so it was launched in 2019. Now, the purpose of this network was essentially to address the financial gap inside of a $30 trillion industry, okay? And this $30 trillion industry is literally global finance. So when I'm talking about global finance, I'm talking about things like promissory notes and bills of lading and just like documents and things that you need to have in order to be able to have a successful trade between two people globally. Now, traditionally, all of these things were done on paper. Okay. And so you have to deal with fax machines and couriers and just all these different things. And it can get lost and just, it can get misconstrued, or it can have like some misconduct happening. So much can go wrong when you have to rely on papers to prove something, okay, to prove ownership and trade and things like that. So what this XDC network aimed to do was to digitalize everything that has to do with global finance and global trade. So instead of having an actual physical promissory note, which is just saying like, hey, I actually promised to pay this money back to you. You're, as a borrower, you're saying, I promise to pay this money back to this lender with all these different conditions and things like that. But instead of it being an actual piece of paper or a document, they turned it into a digitalized document, okay? So that it's easier to just be sent and to be stored, and it can be more secure, and it's very hard to have malicious things happening to this document when it's on a blockchain, because you have to remember, blockchain is permanent. Nothing can be changed on the blockchain because you have these nodes and things on the network that are going to be validating everything, and they're going to all have access to the history of the blockchain. So if 100 nodes blockchain says this, their blockchain history says this, and like one node's blockchain history says something else, you can automatically kind of figure out like something malicious was done. Yeah, this isn't adding up. Nope. So the introduction of tokenizing these RWAs in these documents literally was massive, okay? The reason why it was massive is because this allows for settlements to happen basically instantaneously. You don't have to wait on an email. You don't have to wait on a call. You don't have to wait on somebody trying to fax you something. It is instantaneously, or we can, to be actually correct, it's done within 2 to 6 seconds, which is still instantaneously compared to how long it would take for someone to fax over a document or to email a document and things like that. You could email the wrong person. It's so many things that can go wrong when you have these paper documents. So making everything digitalized and tokenizing these RWAs is amazing, you guys. It's a pure game changer. So as you can see, when you have something like this, you're going to grasp the attention of governments and of big corporations and even small corporations, okay? Because it's useful to anybody who's doing any type of global finance. So that is why this coin is so special, in my opinion, is because it's getting the attention of governments, of big institutions, of big enterprises, of small enterprises, just of so many type of facets. Now, it's not necessarily geared or made towards the everyday person, but not every crypto is made for the everyday person. You're not going to make your money just because it's made for the everyday person. You're going to make your money off of its utility, okay? And its utility is what's going to make the price drive up, because its utility is linked with the demand, okay? And so the more you have demand of something because it has higher utility, the more money it's going to become. The higher the price is going to go, the more money that ends up in your pocket, okay? If you decide that you want to invest inside of this coin. So I did mention the term bill of lading, and the acronym for that is going to be BOL. Now, I want to give you guys a textbook definition for this so that you can really get a grasp on what the XDC network, what its aim is to do within the entire crypto network and within the global finance ecosystem. So let's go ahead and get into that. Bill of lading, a legally binding document issued by a carrier to a shipper, serving as a receipt of goods, a contract of carriage, and a document of title in international trade. So it's literally tracking trades, okay? And the way to track these trades is through legal documents. Now, if you're into international finance, you know how important legal documents are. You don't even have to be into international finance. If you're just into finance in general, you understand how important these documents are and how it has to be secure and accurate at all times. Now, when you have these documents tokenized on the blockchain or digitalized on the blockchain, that creates so much security. It also creates so much privacy as well. Now let's get into my second key point, which is going to be the EVM compatible and high performance factor of this network. The XDC network is a layer 1 blockchain, and it is EVM compatible, which means Ethereum virtual machine compatible. Now, I have an entire video explaining the steps and the logic behind the Ethereum virtual machine, or EVM for short. So if you want to learn more about that, go ahead and click on that video, but I won't waste much time trying to talk about it in this video. But I will say that it's really cool that they have this EVM compatible network, because it allows developers and creators to be able to be familiarized with tools. So they're using tools on this XDC network that they're already familiar with. So if you're making D apps and you're tokenizing things and things of that nature, you're probably very familiar with the Ethereum virtual machine or the Ethereum network in general. So XDC partnering with the EVM is amazing. It's a game changer. I know it's a game changer already, but it's another game changer because it's allowing these developers to already work with something they're familiar with. So it's not a brand new system. So that is going to attract so many more developers and so many more engineers, because now they don't have to figure out an entire system. The tools that they need and that they are familiar with is already there at their full disposal. Now, I did say layer 1 blockchain. So when I say layer 1 blockchain, I just essentially mean the foundation of the network. So Ethereum has layer 1, and then it has so many upgrades and things like that, which created layer 2. And the same exact thing is going to be going on with the XDC network. You have layer 1, which is the foundation and the base, and then you have layer 2, which is going to be XDC 2.0, which we're going to go over in just a bit. One of the most distinctive things about this network compared to all the other crypto coins I've stated is that it can allow you to make a separate and private blockchain. So these enterprises and things like that, they can make their own separate blockchain that is connected and essentially protected by the XDC network. And this is going to be called a subnet system. Now, I'm going to go over the textbook definition for this term. allows organizations to make sovereign, customizable, and private blockchain networks that operate in parallel to the main XDC network. Built on the XDC 2.0 consensus engine, these subnets offer tailored configurations for governance, validator sets, and security while allowing seamless, secure, and fast data transfer to the mainnet. And the mainnet is going to be the XDC network. This subnet system allows organizations to create their own blockchains with their own parameters, okay? So that means their own rules. That means they can pick their consensus mechanism, they can pick their validator sets, they can pick their block times, they can pick their type of governance and all things on this network that they want for their own personal and sovereign blockchain. So this is a sovereign blockchain that is connected or parallel to the XDC network. So the really cool thing about this is that it's so flexible. So these organizations can do so much with this subnet system. And it's just amazing. Just imagine if you're a corporation or a business or something like that, or a government, and you decide to make your own blockchain with your own rules. But it's connected and protected to a blockchain that's already have a lot of notoriety and can do a lot of other things that you are very happy with. So it's really, really cool that you're able to combine it too. So you're still sovereign, you have your own freedom and things like that, and freedom of expression, I guess you can call it, because you're free to choose how you want your blockchain to be. But then at the same time, it's backed by something that is actually very secure. So it's almost like, I don't know if you guys have watched my ISO 22 video. You should. That one actually got a lot of views, and I think it's because what I'm talking about is so interesting. But in that video, I explained to you that the ISO 22 is essentially a financial system, a global financial system that basically all the countries have to be compliant with, okay? So it's just a system. It's a platform, okay, for you to be able to build your own financial systems on. It gives you all the tools that you need. It gives you all the information and the data that you need, but you are able to create your own financial system that you want with your own rules, and there's no rules stopping you, okay? That is exactly how this is with this subnet system in the XDC network. They're giving you the tools and the data and everything that you need in the platform that you need to be able to make your own blockchain, and it's still backed by this XDC network. Much like ISO 22, all the coins and the financial systems and things like that, they're able to make their own rules, but they're still backed by this ISO 22 compliant platform. And because it's done on blockchain, these enterprises and these organizations are able to make near instantaneous transactions, okay? So they want to digitalize something, or they want to send something over to someone, you know, a promissory note or something like that of that nature. They can do that instantly, literally, for near zero fees, okay? So the fees on this network are very, very, very low, okay? It's nothing like Ethereum. You're not going to be paying dollars. You're going to be paying cents for these transactions. Actually, correction, you'll be paying nearly fractions of a cent. You're not going to even be paying a full cent for most of these transactions, not even a penny. So let's rewind a little bit to the security aspect of this network. So a lot of governments and enterprises are adopting this network and using its blockchain to make their own sovereign blockchain because it's so secure, okay? And it's so private. You can create the parameters on how private you want your blockchain and your transactions to be. So essentially all these private blockchains, you know, with these different enterprises and companies and governments, they are being connected to the main net, which is going to be the XDC network, but they're still sovereign and they're still private and creating their own rules. I know I just said this a couple of minutes ago, but I just wanted to reiterate it so that you guys can really understand where I'm coming from, so you can understand the utility behind this coin, okay? This is amazing. And when you really think about it, governments are so secretive. At least here in the United States, we're very secretive over here. And so when you have something as secretive as the United States government, they're going to want to be able to securely do all transactions, especially when it comes to global finance. And that is where this XDC network really comes into play. They create an extra blanket of security that these governments are seeking. So it's a no-brainer that it actually ended up on the list of cryptocurrencies that are ISO 22 compliant. And ISO 22 is just building financial systems for governments to build their own financial systems. And we are entering a digital phase. Well, we're already into a digital phase, you guys. Let's be real. Let's acknowledge it. But we are going deeper into a digital world as they are tokenizing everything. Even stocks are trying to be tokenized and things like that. So you want to go with the wave. Now, my thing that I always say in a lot of my videos, because I am a full-time day trader, I don't just make videos about crypto, I'm also a full-time day trader of stocks and crypto. Now, when I say that, as a day trader, number one rule is to not trade with emotions. But the other rule is to literally trade with the smart money. So many traders trade against the smart money. And when I mean smart money, I mean institutions, okay? Institutions literally run the market. They manipulate it. They push prices up. They push them down. You just got to roll with the punches and you got to go the same way that they're going, okay? You got to read the charts and make sure that you're right alongside them so that you can make the money that they're making, because these institutions, the game is for them. They're going to always win. You know, we're going to win if we stick close by them. And I know some people do trade against the smart money is what we call it. And they make money off of it and everything like that. But I don't think that's trading at that point. I think that's more of a gamble. Okay. Now, if that's what you do and you make a lot of money off of doing that, kudos to you. Don't come for me in the comments. Okay. Everybody has their own different ways of trading. I just know that most of the traders that I know and how I was taught when I began trading was to trade with the smart money and with the institutions. You do what the institutions are doing. So I say all of that to say, if you see all of these institutions and these governments adopting something like this and it's being ISO 22 compliant for these different governments and things to be able to implement it into their financial systems, and you see how much utility it has and it's geared towards governments and institutions and enterprises, you are going to want to invest inside of that, okay? Again, this is not financial advice. Maybe I tell you all this information and you still don't want to invest into it. That is your prerogative. That is your choice. I'm just here to give you the information and you do what you want to do with it. Now let's move into our last key point, which is focusing on real world utility. So not only is this XDC network or the XDC coin, and the XDC coin, guys, is the token, the native token for this network. The name of the token and the name of the network are exactly the same, okay? So it's really hard to get this one confused. So it's not only ISO 22 compliant, it's also MLETR compliant. Now I'm going to go over the textbook definition for this because it's a bit much. This will be a little bit wordy, okay, you guys? But you guys, you're here to listen to me talk, so go ahead and listen to me talk, okay? A legal framework enabling the recognition, use, and cross-border transfer of electronic documents, such as bill of lading and promissory notes, functioning equivalent to their paper counterparts. Promotes paperless trade by ensuring electronic records have the same legal standing as physical documents, allowing for digital control and transfer of ownership. Now, this stands for a model law on electronic transferable records. So essentially, it's saying that these electronic documents, these RWAs and these tokenized documents are essentially the same as the paper. Okay, it holds the same legal standing as the paper. So if you have a promissory note that's actually on paper, you can tokenize this on the blockchain and it would have the same exact legal standing as this piece of paper, but it's digital and it's on a blockchain and it's easier to transfer, easier to see. There's a lot more transparency and there's a lot more control. So you can just do ownership over blockchain, okay? You don't have to note it down on a big notebook or on a file or something like that. You just upload it to the blockchain and the blockchain got you, because whatever goes on the blockchain stays on the blockchain. So when you're really diving deep into this XDC network, you're seeing that it's not a disruptor to the system. It's literally a retrofit. So it's adding to the system and it's shaping it to where it's easier and it's better for global finance. It's not disrupting global finance at all or being like, hey, this is a new thing that you guys should try, and some people are like, nah, no, this is making everything easier. It's making everything more transparent. It's actually making it so much better for record keeping as well. You don't have to rely rely on a group of people or one person to keep these records when you have the blockchain and you have all these different nodes that are on the blockchain validating these transactions and confirming these transactions. And on top of that, you have your own sovereign blockchains that you can make from the mainnet XDC network that is also backed by the XDC network. So it has so much utility behind it that if you're not using it as an enterprise or a government or something like that, you're really just like, you're playing against yourself. You know, you're doing yourself an injustice by not utilizing these tools that are clearly at your disposal. And another cool thing about this XDC network is that it uses proof of stake, POS. And these validators are going to have to stake 10 million XDC to be able to be nodes. And these group of nodes are known as master nodes. So it does everything that POS does, you know, the validating and everything like that. I've covered that, what POS is, in many of my past videos. So if you want to learn what that is, I'll go ahead and put that on the screen for you guys. But it uses POS. But the really cool thing about this, which is why I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about it, is because back in September of 2024, the XDC network had an upgrade, okay? And this upgrade was known as XDC 2.0. And a part of this upgrade was rewarding and paying these validators 50 times more. So a 50x increase in rewards for these validators for them to be able to validate these things on a blockchain. So not only does that create more incentives for validators to become validators, it creates more incentives for these validators to stake these cryptocurrencies, which is really good for the network. If you're staking 10 million of their crypto coins, that is really freaking good. And on top of that, it's making these transactions go a lot faster. Again, I said it was about 2,000 transactions per second, and it takes about 2 to 6 seconds for it to be confirmed. I'm just the messenger. So the max supply of the XDC token is going to be 38 billion. I said it. 38 billion. And right now circulating, it's around 19.5 billion. Yep. Billion. And the price for this token is less than a cent currently. Less than a cent. Its all-time high was about 19 cents, I believe. But right now it's less than a cent. It's less than a penny. So it would be, in my opinion, foolish not to drop $5-10 into XDC. You can get a lot of XDC for $5 to $10. If you want to just drop $1 in XDC, you can get a great amount, okay? $1. We can find $1 walking around at Walmart, or sorry, I don't go to Walmart, but we can find $1 just walking around at the park. You can find $5 walking around at the park. Instead of using that to buy something you really don't need, use it to buy something you do need. XDC, yes, you guys caught on to it. XDC, yes, we need XDC, yes, things like that. Again, this is no way, shape, form financial advice. Not at all. I'm just delivering the information, okay, you guys? But that is all I have for today. Hopefully, I gave you enough information for you to make a sound decision on if you want to invest inside of the XDC coin or not. Fully your prerogative, okay? But we will be going over another coin starting on Tuesday of next week, okay? Because remember, my days of uploading are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays now, because I don't want to miss a day. I want to be committed and consistent on this channel, and Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays work best for me, okay, you guys? So on Tuesday, I will have another cryptocurrency for you. Now, I don't know exactly what coin I want to do, but if you guys drop a coin in the comments that you want me to go over, the first coin that I see in the comments is the one that I will be covering on Tuesday, okay? As long as you drop it by Monday, okay? As long as you drop it by the 16th of March, 2026. Now, if you drop it after the 16th or like late night 16th, I probably already did my notes for a different coin, okay? But you guys, if you want me to go over any coin I haven't gone over yet, make sure I haven't gone over it yet, please put it in the comments. And I promise that will be the coin that I will be going over on Tuesday. But before we go, remember that pretty girls can do crypto too. Oh yeah, and go Tigers.